Okay.
Okay. All right, let's talk football. So first, I'd like to talk about our teams first with the Panthers and the Steelers. Of course, the biggest signing of the two would be Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, duh.
Yeah, and it's just insane. Like, finally, they got rid of Cam. I was so fucking tired of him. They needed to get rid of him.
I mean,
it sucks.
If he's fully healthy, he's still the better option. But the problem with it is you can't really trust him anymore as far as health is concerned. His shoulder just gets re-injured over and over and over. And, for me, I'm just happy to see a fresh new face, and hopefully it'll reignite our offense and we'll play better this year. I don't know.
I mean, I totally agree.
With Kuechly gone, we're fucked.
Oh, I hate that. But the one thing I will say, though, is with, what was I going to say? Yeah, with Teddy, he just, with the Saints, he shows if he has the weapons around him, he's a good game manager. Like, he can really bring the offense together.
People forget he's still under 30, so we'll see what happens.
He'll get even better. And I think Matt Rule, you guys getting Matt Rule was so cool. Well, like, it sucks not having Ron Rivera, but, bro, like, he needed to move on.
I like Ron Rivera, though.
Yeah, but Matt Rule might be the next Sean McVay. You never know.
I've been a fan of Ron Rivera for a long time.
I know. He's a good coach. But it sucks he went to the Redskins.
One of the best. He's one of the best coaches.
Sucks he went to the Redskins, though. I didn't like that destination. But he's going to make him better, though, in my opinion. 100%.
Especially on defense, man. He's one of the best defensive coaches. His 4-3 system is definitely dynamite.
But not talking about Ron Rivera anymore. One thing I will say is, I agree. Luke Kuechly was like the worst. When he left, that was terrible.
Well, he wasn't the worst, but him leaving was the worst.
No, I don't mean him as a character. I mean, like, it just sucked.
Because as a player, you said character.
Whatever. But with Greg Olsen leaving, I didn't really care much about it because he's getting old and they need to move on. He wasn't staying healthy. But with Kuechly, man, he was so young and was so dominant. I think he was the best in the league, in my opinion. Just because of his IQ.
Because of the concussions.
Yeah, 100%. He's, how many do you have? Like, more, like 5?
I think it was 3 or 4. I'm not entirely sure, but I know it was at least 3.
Oh, yeah.
At least 3.
He was good. It was sad that he had to leave, but I think the Panthers will definitely bounce back. But talking about the Steelers now, we placed the franchise tag on Bud Dupree. That was our very first move, and I think that was a really smart move. Because they're talking about how the Steelers might try and work out a deal, but I don't know if I think he's got to prove one more season. And I mean, he played really good, but the seasons before that, he just wasn't up to par. Like, they almost thought he was a bust with those seasons. But this season, he really turned on with 11.5 sacks. And I think franchise tagging was smart. But the only time I would sign him to a long-term deal is if you get a decent offer. But if you pay him a lot, then I don't agree with it.
Well, I think he'll be good no matter where he plays. And he definitely proved that he's got the athleticism to really turn it on and be a dominant player on the edge anyway. I don't know how much I would rely on him in coverage. He's pretty fast, so I don't know. I'd almost pay that money. We'll see. See what happens with him.
I think what made him so much better, though, was definitely having TJ Watt because he's not focused on as the number one guy on the line. He's basically the secondary option.
For sure.
I really like that.
Absolutely.
But the only signing we really made out of free agency was Derek Watt, which was pretty cool.
Kind of cool.
You got 2 Watt brothers. Now they just need to trade for J.J. Watt. I was like, what they could do is trade. I know this sounds crazy, but trade Bud Dupree. You trade, I think it's Mike Hilton. Trade him a corner and trade him a second-round pick. Maybe a first if the second doesn't work, and I think you could get J.J. Watt. Bill O'Brien is king for getting rid of his stars. He's terrible.
You're not wrong about that.
I think there's a slight chance, but I don't think.
What was your favorite? What was your favorite acquisition of free agency?
My favorite acquisition? Come back to me on that one. What's yours? Because I can't. I got to.
Stephon Diggs to the Bills, hands down.
I was pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet for Buffalo. Gonna see a totally different version of Buffalo this year, man.
Oh yeah, it was just. But I guess my favorite would have to be probably Tom Brady to the Bucks. I just think I want to see what he does on a different team. I want to see how Bill Belichick does without him, and I want to see how Tom Brady does without Bill Belichick.
But I gotta tell you, man, this has been one of the craziest off seasons I've seen in a while.
Bro, there's so many quarterback changes this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tom Brady,
Rivers
Teddy Bridgewater.
to the Colts.
Yep, Philip Rivers. Like it's
Cam's
just
going to go
insane.
somewhere. We'll see that happen in
Nick
the next day or
Foles
two.
to the Bears. That was a good
Big
one.
Dick Nick, yep.
Yep, I love it. Big Dick Nick.
Underrated acquisition. Corey Littleton to the Raiders. Just got to say, that was really, really smart of the Raiders. And sad to see Littleton out of LA because he was one of their best players on defense, hands down. The guy's a beast.
Well,
And he's young too. They gave up a great player. They should. I don't think they should have done that.
oh, I definitely agree. I mean, while we're talking about the Rams, like, what in the hell is happening there? Like, they've gotten rid of so many of their starters. Like, today was the biggest, which was Todd Gurley. They just signed him to become the highest paid running back about 2 years ago. And then he got that problem with his knee, and man, his career is just going downhill.
And there goes Todd Gurley.
I think he's going to go to the Bucks. The Bucks need a running back, and I think Todd Gurley, if he came in and split snaps with Ronald Jones, he wouldn't have to do a lot.
Well, they'll probably trade Ronald Jones.
Oh, yeah, probably.
They don't need him. They have Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones. I don't think they would get rid of Barber. He's going to be cheaper in the long run.
You think you would rather have Barber than Jones?
Just based on who's going to be cheaper down the road, because I think, Ronald Jones has more potential. He's younger. He'll want more money.
Oh, I totally agree. But it's going to be insane. I can't wait to see Mike Evans and Chris Godwin with a quarterback who doesn't throw interceptions. But talking about Jameis
But
Winston.
a quarterback who doesn't throw it very far.
That's true.
Can't throw it as far as Winston. Winston can bomb it. That guy's got a rocket.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be a huge difference for those two as well. How much can they really stretch the field,
Oh, yeah. Talking about Jameis Winston, where do you want to see him go? Or the most likelihood destination you think
Well,
he'll
most
go?
likely is Pittsburgh, hands down. I just see that as a great place for him to grow and get better because he needs to take some time and work on his game and just reset his career a little bit.
I think Big Ben would be a good mentor for him. Big Ben early in his career was just really good, and they have the same build. And Ben, I think, can really help him on not turning the ball over so much. And it'd be cool to see Mike Tomlin with his own quarterback to groom, because Ben was Bill Cowher's quarterback. I was like, they won one Super Bowl together because he won Seahawks with Bill Cowher and Cardinals with Tomlin. But he was a rookie when he was with Bill Cowher.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see Jameis Winston with Mike Tomlin. I think that'd be such a cool duo. But the Steelers need to figure out what they're going to do. They haven't done anything in the free agency, and I think we need a receiver. I like Deontay Johnson, and I like James Washington, but I don't think either of them is a number two.
Prime time. Neither of them is even prime time.
I think they could be solid slot receivers, switch back and forth, and work together in the slot. But I think Juju needs a number two receiver, and Emmanuel Sanders. That'd be so sick, I think. Bring Emmanuel Sanders back to the Steel City. I know that they're talking about how Emmanuel Sanders might go to the Cowboys, but I think Emmanuel Sanders to the Steelers would be sick to see again.
It'd be cool. Absolutely.
But one receiver I was really hoping that they would have had a chance at was freaking Amari Cooper, but there was no way the Cowboys were going to get rid of him.
No
I
way.
just didn't see it.
He's a special player, and the fact that he ever left Oakland is ridiculous. Well, Las Vegas now.
Yep.
But the fact that he left there was ridiculous. He's a great player. You drop some balls, and all of a sudden John Gruden fires you. I think. I think he was a little harsh on that note. I think he was one of the most talented players on that team.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at him now, they've got Josh Jacobs, who's fantastic. But imagine if they still had Amari on the outside.
Oh, that would have been sick. Him and Tyrell Williams together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that would have been so sick.
Tyrell's actually a pretty good player too.
I think Amari Cooper's proven that he was definitely worth that first round pick that the Cowboys got rid of. He was such a solid fantasy player last year. When I'm in fantasy, he was sick. But I will not be keeping him. So there goes that. One thing I wanted to ask you, you think the Titans made the right choice keeping Tannehill and not going for Tom Brady? Because they said that there's reports that if Tom Brady didn't go to the Bucks, if Ryan Tannehill didn't get re-signed by the Titans, Tom Brady would have probably went to the Titans.
No, I like that, man. I think that it gives them a new identity without having, a guy who basically it's either Super Bowl or bust and you only have a couple of years to do it. Instead, you get a guy who played fantastic at the end of last year, and if he continues that same level of play and they get some good pieces around him, the Titans are going to be a great team. I think Derrick Henry is the real soul of that team. With a good quarterback and some good pieces around him, that's really all you need to make that a really good squad. I don't see them making or I don't see that as a mistake. I think Tannehill was the right choice for sure.
Oh, for sure. But one thing I think they definitely need to do, and I think it's crazy how some people are actually disagreeing, they need to pay Derrick Henry.
They're going to pay him.
He carried them to the AFC Championship on his shoulders. Tannehill was good, but if Henry was not on that team, they don't make the playoffs.
Well, what do you see happening in New England? What are they going to do?
In New England, that's a funny story. It's weird. They have this new quarterback. I can't remember his name, but he's a rookie, and for some reason, they're actually really high on him. They think that he might become the starter one day, but I've been hearing reports that Andy Dalton would be a really good fit there, and I actually kind of do like that, but I want to see Cam Newton.
I like Andy Dalton just because he's really good at taking orders, and that's what Belichick likes to do is give orders. And so I could easily see Andy Dalton as a great fit there, just doing what he's told and running the offense. Because if you think about the Patriots, they're not masters at scoring a lot of points on you or having a high-powered offense per se. They're better at winning, in the X's and O's. Winning as far as coaching is concerned. And so if they have a quarterback that's going to listen and just do what he's told, that's going to fit really well in a Belichick scheme, I think. So Andy Dalton's a great choice.
Oh, yeah.
I because I'm a Panthers fan, Cam Newton and I have a love-hate relationship, and I don't know how to feel about him anymore. And if we don't see something out of him this year, this could spell, the beginning of the end for him. Who knows?
I totally agree, but I would love to see him with the Patriots just to see if Bill Belichick can really bring Cam Newton back to the MVP status that he once was.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I'm just saying Belichick is a really good coach. And didn't Josh McDaniels stay? Or did he leave?
He stayed.
He did? Yeah, Josh McDaniels and Cam Newton would be a really good combo. But Andy Dalton, I think, is a smarter choice, though. I definitely agree.
Do we think Cam Newton's the same player?
I think he is. I think 100% healthy, he can still be the same player. I mean, maybe not.
Oh, not as
MVP
athletic.
season, no. But he can get close to that. I mean, look what he did the season where they went 7-2 before they started going downhill. He played really good until he got hurt in that Steelers game.
In a row.
Yeah.
Lost 7 in a row after that.
Once he got hurt, that's when his season went down the drain. But who knows? I hope he really does get a chance somewhere else. I really do. I hope he gets 100% healthy and he gets another chance.
What if he went to the Chargers?
That would be cool.
That'd be an interesting fit, especially since the Chargers just added to their defense like crazy. I think that team's going to be formidable. If they get a decent quarterback and they have a good enough offense to keep up with good teams, then that defense will really carry them. They're going to be one of the better defensive teams in the league next year for sure. And Anthony Lynn's a fantastic coach, so we'll see.
I think that's a legitimate chance that could happen with Cam going to the Chargers, but I think it really depends on the draft. If the Chargers don't see a player that's not a QB that they want, then they might go for a QB in Justin Herbert or Jordan Love, or maybe trade for Tua. But if there's another player they're seeing and they don't want to draft a QB, then I think Cam Newton would be an excellent choice. Then you have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, Austin Eckler. They just need an offensive line.
What if that's what happened in the draft is Cam Newton gets traded during the draft?
I think that's what a lot of these players. There's some players that people are talking about, why haven't they been traded?
Cam Newton.
Yeah, I think that could happen draft night.
Yeah, because the Panthers openly said they're going to get rid of him. They're actively seeking a trade for him. So, and apparently he didn't want it. But hey, man, you had your chances in Carolina. You literally have been the face of the franchise for damn near a decade now.
Yep.
9 years. So I mean, it's time to move on, I think.
Now the new face of the franchise is Christian McCaffrey, run CMC.
Yep.
That man is insane. He's the best player on that team. He, hands down, is the best running back in the NFL, in my opinion, right now. I just think he's just so good at receiving and rushing. It's just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I would have got him in fantasy.
Yeah, it happens. Happens to the best of us.
I seriously was planning on getting him, and then I got Saquon. which I then traded by accident.
By accident, of course.
Of course.
Because we all want to trade Saquon Barkley mid-season on a panic for
Oh.
David Johnson. Straight up.
And then I traded David Johnson, though, and got Leonard Fournette.
So Leonard Fournette for Saquon. It sounds like you still lost.
Yes, I did.
I still have Christian McCaffrey, folks.
Wait,
so
I
it's
got-
all good.
I got Leonard Fournette and something else.
Doesn't matter. You lost anyway.
I still made up for it, though. Because I'm so happy I got rid of David Johnson at the right moment. Because he fell off so quick that year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did. Well, we'll see a different David Johnson next season, I think.
Oh, yeah. I think that him and the Texans will be a pretty good place for him. Because Deshaun Watson's a really good QB. I think he'll find a way to use David Johnson. But the biggest free agency that just blows my mind is Jadeveon Clowney not being signed.
It'll happen soon. He just wants a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. He said that the market is just not what he thought it was going to be. And they're talking about how he might just go back to the Seahawks, which I would love for it to happen. I want him to be a Seahawk because I think the Seahawks really need him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that too. I think that that was the perfect fit for him when he went there last year. I thought that was perfect, and he needs to go back. I think that's a good spot for him for sure.
So one thing that happened was that the Panthers had ended up trading who was it? DeForest Buckner, and they kept Eric Armstead and signed him. Do you think they made the right choice?
I like Buckner better, but he's worth more money, so I can see why they did it. I get it. I mean, I don't agree with it because I think Buckner's one of the best defensive tackles in football, not just on that team. I think he's one of the best in the league. So I thought that was a bit of a mistake, and yeah, they definitely got a prize. So
At least they got a first round pick in return, though. The 13th pick's not too bad. For being in the Super Bowl, now they have the 13th pick. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. But I think them saving $20 million cap is going to help. Like, they have so much talent on that team, they're going to need that cap later. So that's the thing. One thing with the Saints is Drew Brees had returned to sign a 2-year extension. You really think Drew Brees is going to be able to return to the playoffs next year?
no, their window is so close to being shut that I don't know, man. I mean, how much time do they really need? They've had a great team for the last 4 years and have been unable, or not even 4 years, well, almost the last decade, and have been unable to really do anything with it. They've had a few bad years here and there, and other than that, have been dominant, for almost the last decade. And I wonder if Drew Brees' window is truly almost shut. So we'll see. I mean, they brought back Malcolm Jenkins too to shore up the defense, so that's cool. And obviously, Michael Thomas is the best receiver in football right now. So you just got to figure it out. I mean, how much time do you really need? Alvin Kamara, come on, forget about it. Offensive Rookie of the Year. This is getting ridiculous. How much more talent and how much more time is it going to take for them to get another Super Bowl? I don't know.
I was really shocked when they lost to the Vikings last year. That really blew my mind. I thought it was going to be Saints and Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and then they lost round 1.
Hey, it happens. It happens, and the Vikings beat them the year before, so
No, it was 2 years before.
Or 2 years before.
The year before was the Rams.
Yeah, there's a stigma about it, though. The Saints can't seem to get it done. They can't even get there.
No, every year they always fall short.
But, as far as having one of the most talented teams in the league, I'd say they're top 5, as far as talent goes. Top 5 in the whole league.
Yeah, it's just getting harder and harder because every year the NFC is just getting better and better. I mean, now you got the Bucks with Tom Brady. I mean, you still got the Niners. Like, it's just getting better and better. And, of course, you got the Cowboys, even though I hate them.
Mm-hmm.
But, hey, they're still a decent team. But, oh, and another trade that came up that a lot of people are very confused about was the David Johnson for DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Yeah, that made no sense.
I was really blown away. Like, why would you trade DeAndre Hopkins? And they traded a pick. I think it was a late round pick. I can't remember. For David Johnson, a running back who has a fat contract, is declining, and is so injury prone he can't stay on the field, and 2 decent picks. That made no sense. And then you see what the Vikings get for Stephon Diggs. They got like 4 picks, a first, a second, a fourth, and a fifth for Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just blows my mind that they would do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what to think as far as like their reasoning behind getting rid of Hopkins, but I mean, maybe they thought that running back was more important, and they see the talent in David Johnson. I mean, you got to admit that talent is still undeniable. I mean, David Johnson is who he is. He's one of the most versatile backs in football, And, DeAndre Hopkins, being one of the best receivers in the league, you'd think he's worth more, but I think the running back position is becoming that much of a commodity. Like, without a running back, you can't win a Super Bowl, it seems like. The Chiefs did it. The Chiefs did it, but they did it behind the arm of one of the best quarterbacks of this generation. So, for the Texans, I think they're just worried that, Deshaun Watson's window will come and go without them ever actually winning a Super Bowl. And I think that's a huge thing to think about. Is like, if their receivers are good enough, because Will Fuller's fast as piss, Kenny Stills is fast, and you've got Kiki Cutie's a good route runner and a good slot receiver for them. So, if they have David Johnson, who's this versatile running back who can take over games, that's going to really take some pressure off of Watson more than Hopkins ever would. That's where my head goes. So I think, what they did as far as the deal, I don't know if I agree with it because Hopkins is worth more to me.
Mm-hmm.
But do I understand why they did it? Yeah.
I totally agree. I understand it. I just think you just got to get more. So, but I think that'll be the end of today's podcast. Thank you all who tuned into this video. Everybody knows that the huge outbreak of the coronavirus is out there right now. So make sure everybody stays safe. Wash your hands and make sure you just stay clean. But
stay away from, large crowds, people of 25 or more. Try to avoid contact with, everybody just to be safe, because this virus is airborne, so we don't know, how easy it'll be to get it. We need to be careful. So be safe, everybody.
But don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and have a great day.